60s. The reason for this, it's another situation, to get us away from the Bible. We always tend to come up with little phrases and we tend to come up with just stuff that's like we keep inventing things and you know, when only thing you have to keep real. So I say again, we keep inventing little let me see, little analogies or phrases, you know. So if you keep it real, then why do you need the law, statutes, and commandments? Keeping it real, it teaches us how the to love. Yeah, it teaches how to love, and we keep it real. Or is that cap? So is keeping it real, does it teach you how to love, or is it cap? So let's see what the Bible says. Let me get do I have a reader?
Shalom.
Khan, Shalom. Yabashim Yashar,
Yeah, I
Rakatah.
would assume yes, I would have.
Khan. Let me get First John's, the book of First John, uh, chapter 5, verse 3. Because when we say this, brothers always put a lot into this. Man, keep it real, man, keep it real. So we're going to see, um, is this love? And if it is love, what does the Bible say?
This is the book of First John, chapter 5, and verse 3, when you have it say come.
Good.
Come, for this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
Huh. Now, this is keeping it real. All right. Not following man's understanding, because that's when keeping it real goes wrong. All right. So this is keeping it real. We got to stop living for these streets and stuff. The streets is what's getting us in all the trouble. And when I mean the streets, I mean in everything. The Christian church, you got the brother talking about a year ago, close the doors. And he literally goes on the what's the dude always be wearing a dress? He goes on the Ricky Smiley show and tries to defend it. Bruh, we saw the video. But he kept it real, right? And this is when it goes wrong. All right, I'm gonna just get a couple more scripts. Let me get First John, chapter 1, verse 5 through 7. Baba Kushai.
This is First John, chapter 1, verse 5 through 7, when you got to say come.
Ooh.
Come. And this then is the message which we have heard of him, and declare unto you that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all.
Salakia. Khan. So this is the light. This is, God is light. This is keeping it real. All right. Go ahead. Next verse.
If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Yahweh Mashiach, his son, cleanseth us from all sin.
Khan. So this is keeping it real. When keeping it real goes wrong, all right, we're going to be in darkness. All right. And there's no truth there. So these are simple scriptures. All right. So, like I say, the class is on when keeping it real goes wrong, because we've been saying this for years. Keep it real, keep it real, keep it real. It's supposed to be the truth. Now the new thing is like keeping it real is kind of going away. Now everybody's saying my truth. No, this is my truth. It's like every freaking couple decades is always some new thing that keeps distracting us, is trying to keep us away from what is keeping it real, and it is the Bible. All right. So the first video I'm about to show you guys, it's a gang member. He's pretty popular over there on the West Coast. His name is Big U. Some say he was the real character from Debo. They said that character was based upon him. It's from a movie called Friday. So let me go ahead and start this up. Give me a second. I'm about to share my screen. Bear with me. Everybody see it?
Well, breaking news stories at this hour. We begin with that South LA man who the feds say used taxpayer money and donations to fund gang activities. In the past hour, we've learned that Eugene Henley Jr. and Brian Mejia were taken into custody. Henley Jr. is a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips, according to the FBI. But in recent years, he worked in entertainment and ran a youth charity that the acting U.S. attorney now says was a front for his criminal enterprise. NBC4's Camilla Rambaldi live in downtown LA with the very latest developments on this. Camilla?
Now, hi, Colleen. 19 defendants in total in connection to this criminal enterprise. At least two of them appeared in federal court earlier today. And now, as you mentioned, Eugene Henley and another fugitive are now in custody tonight in connection to this case. A known community activist and founder of a youth nonprofit in South LA, now facing federal charges.
A career criminal known as Big U.
Eugene Henley is accused of being a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips Street Gang. Federal prosecutors say Henley ran a criminal enterprise and is accused of a number of crimes, including racketeering, human trafficking, fraud, and the 2021 murder of a musician.
He has maintained the image of an entertainment industry entrepreneur running a music label and of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar.
Federal authorities say there are other alleged gang members facing charges they say are connected to the criminal enterprise. A number of arrests were made this week. These sketches show two defendants, Sylvester Robinson and Mark Martin, in federal court Wednesday afternoon.
4 of the 19 defendants were already in custody, and 10 defendants were taken into custody in the last 24 hours.
Court documents also state Henley fraudulently obtained funding from the city of Los Angeles through the Gang Reduction Youth Development Foundation. Henley was the founder behind the nonprofit Developing Options that helps support at-risk youth.
Mr. Henley duped the county of Los Angeles by running a nonprofit named Developing Options, which was set up to pull youth out of the gang life and promote anti-gang solutions. Yet Mr. Henley continued to personally orchestrate violent gang activity that impact our communities.
Court documents state Henley had drawn hundreds of thousands of dollars for his own use.
Mr. Henley is accused of embezzling donations made by celebrities, professional athletes, and businesses to his charity.
Federal prosecutors say Henley could face a 20-year prison sentence if convicted on the racketeering charges.
Gone. So that's the guy named Big U. He's a gang leader out there in the West Coast of the Rolling 60s. That was the same gang that Nipsey Hussle was a part of and stuff like that. So I lived out there in the West Coast. That gang stuff is crazy. But it's a shame, because he was keeping it real, right? So again, he thought he can hide behind this facade and keep extorting folks and stuff. I mean, I used to hear a lot of stuff about him. If you're a basketball player, any type of athlete, those gang members, they were going around taking your stuff, extorting you. So again, he has only been charged. He is not guilty until proven guilty. So these are just charges that's on him. And but we want to see this is what's going to happen when you're keeping it real, when it goes wrong. He's a grown man, he has a family, he has children, he has properties and stuff like that, but he just got to keep it real, and he knows the streets and continue to use street laws, because the streets have laws, statutes, and commandments. You know what I'm saying? And we're going into the Passover season, so everything is coming out, and they're going to arrest 20 people. Now, he was on the run for a little bit, but then he came back to LA and he turned himself in, like I think about a week ago. All right. But we want to see um what the Bible says about street laws, statutes, and commandments. Let me get the book of First John, chapter 2, verse 15. Baba Kusha.
This is the book of First John, chapter 2, and verse 15. When you gotta say con.
John.
Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Now this gang culture, not just the West Coast, these guys, they in love with that. They having kids. Yeah, he's gonna be this, he's gonna be that. This is one of those things that just got put on us. This is something that's, another tool to get us away from these law statutes of the Bible. All right, the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. So love not this world. You know, when I was in the military, I used to love the United States of America. Whenever that flag went up, I cried. That's how passionate it was. When I'm sitting there saluting that flag, I love that. I would kill for this country. And this is what these brothers do in these gangs and all this other stuff. They don't have nothing. They don't have no substance. You may love your job. Like, man, I gotta go to work. What you mean you gotta go to work? You ain't this ain't a career, it's a job. Love not this world. I bet you any one of us hurt ourselves at our job, who's gonna be there giving us some balloons? Yeah, you gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna work for my boss and I'm gonna do this. Soon as you hurt your knee, yeah, they might send you some flowers, maybe. That's it. You're replaced. They're gonna hire somebody else. Love not the world, neither the things that are in this world, because people are just gonna use you, you know. Continue with verse 16 through 17. Baba Kusha.
Verse 16, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world.
Shalakia. And that's what this brother Big U, he was this gang member and all this other stuff. He tried to clean himself up, start these little outreach programs, but behind closed doors, allegedly, he's up here doing all sorts of stuff, even a murder. Some dude wrote a song, it was a diss song or something. And allegedly, he drove him out to the desert, him and some other guy, killed the guy and buried him in the desert. So he got charges on that. But for all this in the world, the lust of flesh, he wants to be something. He already had a name. Everybody knew this guy Big U. Allegedly he was supposed to be, the character Debo was based upon him. I don't know how tall he is. He looked like he about 6'4". He looked like a big dude. You know what I'm saying? So, the pride of life, he was prideful. He's doing what he thought was right, but behind closed doors, they extorting people. All right. Verse 17.
And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever.
Right. These gang members, these young kids that's doing these flash mobs, um, all this stuff that's going on, is like your parents used to say. The streets ain't going nowhere. When you're young, you want to go to the party. You're like, yeah, I gotta go to the party, or I want to go here. I just gotta go. And your mom like, listen, bro, it's nothing's changed. They're gonna get high, they're gonna start shooting, and you might get shot. That's what the parties are like. Most of the house parties. You go to the skating ring. We had this skating ring in Philly called Elmwood. Oh my God. As soon as you start smelling the weed, they start arguing, they start shooting. And guess what? Every weekend I went back. You know what I'm saying? And it just, it's closed down now. It's like a daycare center. But, the world passes away and the lust thereof. So eventually you're going to grow up. But this dude, Big U, he had to be like 50 something. You know what I'm saying? He's loving it, you know? So eventually we'll catch up to you. All right. And let me get because people think like oh, it's been this long, right? Now he went back and forth to jail, I believe. I didn't really get his rap sheet, but eventually it will catch up to you. Let me get on the book of Psalms, chapter 103, verse 8.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 103, and verse 8. When you got it, say come.
Gone.
God, the Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy.
Gone. So he watches all. All right. He's slow to anger. So eventually he's going to get you. Who wants to go to jail in their 50s? Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's not made for anybody, but definitely you don't want to go. He's living comfortable, eating steak and lamb every night. You know what I'm saying? But he out here doing mischief in these streets, keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens when keeping it real goes wrong. Now he's facing all this stuff. He has all these charges. Now we don't know if he's going to be found guilty or not. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not touching on, what the so-called white man's doing. He could be, some people say he's a informant. Some say he's working for the feds. There's a bunch of stuff that's going on. Because they have that show called what is it called? Adam 22 or something like that, Jumper, 22 Jumper. And I don't know what's wrong with brothers, but they going on there talking about all the stuff they did. Okay, that's stupid, but hey, it is what it is. And the Lord's merciful and gracious and slow to anger. And you 50, 60 years old still doing this stuff, eventually it's going to come back to you. All right. So that's what happens when keeping it real goes wrong. So let me show the next video. This next video is crazy. This is about Usher. Him and Chris Brown keep getting these women dumped and uh probably beat up, divorced, and all sorts of stuff is going on with these brothers. So this is way, way inappropriate. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
20,000 people, a 45-year-old man has filed for divorce after experiencing what he calls the ultimate betrayal at Usher's London concert last night. His wife, whom he has loved and
Look at
cherished for
this.
years, was invited on stage during the show. As the crowd cheered, she leaned in and kissed Usher right in front of thousands, including her own husband. The man, who had always been a private and reserved person, was left frozen in shock. He says his wife has never kissed him in public, not even on their wedding day. Yet, in that moment, she had no hesitation showing such affection to another man. Feeling humiliated, heartbroken, and betrayed, he left the concert
Sorry.
alone, unable to process what had just happened. The next morning, without a second thought, he filed for divorce, saying, if she could do this in front of 20,000 people, imagine what she could do in private. Is this an overreaction? Or do you think?
Man. So he decides to take his old lady to an Usher concert. First of all, no, we're not going to no Usher, Chris Brown, or if I'm coming, you're not sitting in the front. I mean, I don't understand these brothers, taking these women to these concerts and just letting them go alone. Now, I didn't see him there and stuff like that, but this is I don't know. I don't know. This is crazy. But let me get Proverbs chapter 9, verse 13. Because these women that's going to these concerts, they gotta have self-control. You do have a husband. And even if you don't have a husband, like, why would you be up this millions of cameras? Ain't nobody trying to get with you. You keeping it real, right? And that's what happened when keeping it real goes wrong. If you want to spend 5 minutes of glory just to end your relationship, that is embarrassing. That's almost like you ladies walking around with these yoga pants on and your tampon string is hanging. I see that like every day in freaking Walmart. I'm like, oh my God, do you have a full body mirror? Nobody want to see that, you know? And it's just crazy. And ladies, we can see through the yoga pants. All right, just FYI. So let me get Proverbs chapter 9, verse 13. Bobby Kashaw.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, and verse 13. When you have it, say, Con.
Done.
Con, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing.
God, now this is not a woman bashing session, okay? All right, I'm just saying these women they have to use, some discernment, some wisdom, you know. This is crazy. He already calls Kiki Palmer like they got separated. So now, he's a performer, he's an entertainer. So is he wrong for doing that? We ain't talking about that. We just talking about if you are a woman who was taken, you have a man and so forth. This is something that's foolish. You're making a bad choice. And again, we're in this Passover season, so a lot of things like this is coming out because we're in the Passover season. So people getting this judgment. Let me get the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 16.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 3, and verse 16. When you have it, say, Con.
Done.
Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet.
God. So wanting eyes, just looking all over, wanting you to get attention, wanting you to watch them, switching, just making a twinkling with their feet, just trying to be in everybody's face. You know what I'm saying? We see it every day with these Instagram girls, with this OnlyFans stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so let me get verse 17.
Therefore, the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts.
God. So the Lord will smite a scab, or what they want to call alopecia, of the head of daughters, right? And will discover their secret parts. You know, um, ladies, if you're going to these concerts, use wisdom, use discernment. All right. If you have a husband, you ain't got to be all up on Usher. The brother allegedly has herpes or something. So, I mean, who knows? I don't know. But that's what was going around. I think it was a rumor or something, but we're just gonna say allegedly. All right. So this is why you follow, this is why we follow the real keeping it real. Okay. The real keeping it real. The Bible. Okay. There is no such thing as my truth. It's the Bible truth. And it's not that hard. All right. We're going into the Passover season, and things always show out around this time. So be mindful, Israel, and stay out of folks' business and tend to your family and this truth, not my truth, this truth. All right. So we don't need to, be setting our focus on everybody's business and brothers saying this and sisters saying that. You know, like it says in Psalms 103 and 8, the Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in his mercy. Okay. So you will get that work, but you got to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. It's easy to, fall into, oh, it's Usher, oh, it's Chris Brown, all this other stuff. These are famous people. But at the end of the day, you have a man. You can, enjoy yourself at a concert. You can take a selfie. But all this getting seduced and everything, nah, that's going too far. All right. So, like you said, the Lord will smite you with a scab of the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion. All right. So let me get this last video. I ain't gonna tell y'all about this one. We're We're gonna play it real quick. All right. It's been going viral. You probably know what I'm gonna pull up. So let's see. Like I said, it wasn't too long of a class. Just when keeping it real goes wrong. I didn't want to get too into it. It turns into a 3-hour class because there's a lot of stuff on when keeping it real goes wrong. You know, we can be here all night. All right. But I just wanted to touch on when keeping it real goes wrong, we got to stop saying keeping it real, or we got to stop saying this my truth. Okay. So the truth is in the Bible, in the law, statutes, and commandments. All right. You got to read these first 4 books, the Torah. All right. So let me get this next one. Bear with me.
Allegedly admitted to the crime. Now, he also asked officers if his actions could be considered self-defense. That is according to a newly released arrest report. On Wednesday morning, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, a junior at Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas.
And remember, brothers and sisters, if you ever commit or involved in any criminal activity, you do not say nothing. When the Miranda rights are talking, that's why they said he admitted to what he did. All right. Never say nothing. Just give them your name and that's it. Man, but you ain't got to give them that. You know, if you got ID on you, they'll go through all your stuff. Never talk to the police. They're not your friend. They're not your homie. They're not your little homie. They're not your big homie. Never talk to these cops. And this is what I'm saying this because you got to tell these young men this and these young ladies this, because when they get hemmed up, they start to run in their mouth and talking and stuff, and they get in charges. You know, oh, we went to the house and we bought this and we did this and no, don't admit to nothing. Just fight it out in court. Okay. Just some, some gems.
Was killed at a track meet. Police said a student from Centennial High School in Frisco, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, stabbed Metcalf in the chest during a fight. Anthony was arrested, now charged with first-degree murder, and is being held in the Collin County Jail on a $1 million bond. Our Fox 4 Dallas team has been covering all of the information here. Alex Boyer has the latest.
In that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. It also revealed that the suspect reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer that he stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco.
I think he was extremely smart, always in the book. He just came to him real easy and just him playing with football as well just made him just a great person overall.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. It was just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a Frisco police officer, Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself," and then asked the police officer, "Is he going to be okay?" Metcalf died in his brother's arms.
I'm not at that point to forgive and forget, but eventually I will. But I pray for his family. I pray that they understand what we're going through as well. This whole community has really wrapped their arms around us, and if I could say anything to the nation, I would say to make sure that you just Like your baby's tight, and you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
In a statement released by the Metcalf family this afternoon, they say their focus is now on laying Austin to rest. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Anthony remains in the Collin County Jail on a $1 million bond.
$1 million, Lord in Christ. So we all saw that. Don't nobody care about Esau. He got what he deserved. Who cares? But the thing is, what I wanted to touch on was the reason for the video is because these kids, like I said, it's a controversial. There's a lot of uproar about it. So again, the reason for this is why did he have a knife at a track meet? Now I was at track meets and football, and we had robberies and all this other stuff. If you play sports, there's always beef and robberies and between certain schools and cities. You know what I'm saying? Um, but typically with the fans, you know what I'm saying? Like we go to these racist schools and like, they be throwing batteries and Coke bottles at you and stuff, calling us the N-word and stuff like that. We know not to get off the bus. But why did this dude have a knife? You know what I'm saying? And the point is, these young men prefer to keep it real, and this is what happened when keeping it real goes wrong. He had hands. He could have fought them two white boys. You know what I'm saying? I heard it was calling racial slurs and stuff like that. Man, we can get it on. He had it, and then his team would have jumped in unless he's a weirdo or something like that. So I mean, shouts out to his family and stuff like that. And no, we don't care about Esau. But that could have been all prevented. But he wanted to keep it real and have a knife. That was no way in heck self-defense. I don't believe they're gonna lower it to manslaughter, you know. So he jumped. He jumped the gun on that. I'm trying to figure out, like, I mean, we've come from some crazy neighborhoods, and there were certain schools that oh man, we get ready to play them. Oh, these brothers is crazy. And the worst people of the school, it's always the fans. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why he bought a knife. We probably need to wait till it come out. But I'm just saying that these young men today is so quick to pull a gun or a knife or something on you, and nobody want hands. Nobody want to fight anymore. So let me get Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29, Baba Kusha, because this is crazy. He just went to a knife and stabbed the kid and took off and ran, because I think there's a video on it, if I'm not mistaken. People was watching them, the interaction and stuff like that. And when he told them don't touch him, okay, then he goes in his bag and get a knife. So let me get Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29, Baba Kusha.
This is Proverbs 14 and 29. He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly.
Fine. So, whether he was called the N-word, I can't count how many times I was called the N-word. But I ain't never pull a gun out and shoot somebody. Or in that circumstance, I mean, I think we all can say we've been through that. Some of us. I don't see a need to why he stabbed the kid. I ain't mad. His life is going to be taken away. So I'm mad about that. You know what I'm saying? So, he that slow to wrath with great understanding, but he is hasty of spirit, exalted folly. That could have been handled totally different. I'm just glad the brother didn't have a gun, accidentally shot somebody. So, I wasn't there, but in my eyes, if that was my son, I'm like, why would you bring a knife? Was there was there something put that, hey, these kids are going to stab you, or they're known to stabbing kids there or something like that? I got to hear that. Let me get one more. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 9. Baba Kushan.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 9 when you got to say, come.
Good.
Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, For anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Mm,
Come
mm.
on.
Thank
Come
you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, so you guys gotta I mean, I don't understand why he did that. But at the end of the day, Esau was judged. But be hasty in thy spirit to be angry. All right. And anger resteth in the bosom of fools. You walking around so mad about something, and we don't know why that young man had that knife. He could have been living in a bad neighborhood, maybe people picking on him, you know, or Esau just had it coming. He might have said something to him before, but he was a track player and he's a football player. And we all know how the sports go. Football guys are jocks, track guys, most football guys, especially black guys, we do track and we do football. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, yo, man, get out of here, dude. I don't know if he called him the N-word or not. Like, man, get out of here. It's our stuff. He probably was talking to him funny, but whatever the case may be, all right, I'm almost certain that could have been handled with some hands. I wouldn't have been mad at him. He would have sucker punched him, suplexed him or something. You know, they duke it out. That's a scary spirit. So when keeping it wrong when keeping it real goes wrong, yeah, that young man is probably never going to see daylight till he goes to the yard or something. They're going to try to because they're trying to make this a big racial thing, you know, and stuff like that. So he may walk, it may get changed. Who knows what's going to happen? But be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. And we're going into the Passover season. Spring is coming. Bodies is already dropping, and it's only been like 70 degrees. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's killing everybody, you know. So this is the time of cheer. The new year just was a couple weeks ago. So, we're trying to stop keeping it real. We want to keep it real with these laws, statutes, and commandments. All right. So this was a short class. All right. So this brings me to the closing of the class. It's the Passover season. Israel, stay focused and let's endure to the end. And I hope you can keep it real with following the most high law, statutes, and commandments. That's keeping it real. Okay. Not this, man, I gotta, this is my truth. What is your truth? There's people, everybody's saying this stupid thing. This is my truth. You know, well, your truth is not the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm speaking my truth, and it mixes in with that whole Christian rhetoric stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I tell you, the Christians are responsible for all this stuff. Not everything, but they're really easily to brainwash you. You know, put on the pagan holidays. Oh, we know Jesus' birthday is in the spring, but we celebrate it in the winter. But we know it's just always something, you know. And then we always following phraseologies of the street, but never following the phraseologies of the Bible. Everybody want to go ahead and take this book. They want to take this Bible and they want it to be their truth. This Bible is not your truth. Okay. This Bible is the holy truth. Okay. It's Yahweh's truth. All right. This is not your truth. You can't take this and make it what you want to make it. All right. So we have to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments that we keep saying over and over and over again. Israel is so easily distracted. You know what I'm saying? Shiny light, easily distracted. I think they did a study on that. We retain things for like 10 days, the Black community, and then it's gone. 10 days and it's gone. So I mean, now they're making videos about these eggs being expensive. I don't know. It's kind of funny, but they're just going on. Now everybody's talking about the tariffs and stuff like that. So it's crazy. You know, People was keeping it real when Biden got into office. What happened? Nothing. People was keeping it real when Obama got in office. What happened? Nothing. So we have to hold on for a second. My phone. The water. Coming. So again, when keeping it real goes wrong, um, it's a doozy. And like I say, it was a Dave Chappelle skit. But when you look at his skits, it was funny, but it was real. You know, the guy lost his job. The lady got locked up. She put paint on some guy's car, which happened to be, it was supposed to be a girl's car, but it was her brother's car, and he worked for the FBI. So she got like 15 years. Then when she got to jail, she got beat up. And like I say, I know it's a skit and everything, but that's what happens when keeping it real goes wrong. So we have to focus in this Bible. If your family members don't want to listen, then it is what it is. It ain't for them. They'll wake up a little bit later, or we see them in the kingdom. God willing, Lord willing, we make it. Most High willing, we make it. Okay. So, like I said, I wanted to touch on that because, like I said, we are entering into the Passover season. People have been having Passovers for like the past month and a half. All right, and stuff is coming out and everything. And again, brothers and sisters, we don't want to get involved in any camp banging and stuff. We don't do that over here at HOI. Anybody saying anything, any videos, just send it to the elder or to your captain or your senior man that's in your city, and they look over and stuff like that. But as far as making videos and clapbacks and stuff like that, nah, it's pointless. So let me get, anybody have any questions? So let me get gone. So yeah, like I said, it was a quick class on when keeping it real goes wrong. And hopefully, like I said, I wanted to use those three examples. All right. So we wanted to use people being a bully. That's what's going on in Israel. All this sexual seduction, that's what's going on. And then young men going out here making hasty decisions, and they never going to see the streets again, and it's sad that the brother did. And I hope he get off, but it ain't looking like it, you know. But that's one less Esau. But it's a young man, he's only 17, had the rest of his life. I mean, I wish the judge would give him a pass like that white judge gave that white boy who was raping that 10-year-old, and they gave him a pass. It was like, hey man, you're young, you got the rest of your life. But we're not gonna see that. You know what I'm saying? But you never know. So, let me get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, Baba Kusha. Let me get Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14, Baba Kusha. Yeah, you still on mute. Okay, there you go.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 through 14. When you have it, say come.
Done.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Shalakia. Fear God and keep his commandments. It didn't say, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Keep it real. No. Fear Yahweh, okay? And keep his commandments. But this is the whole duty of man. This is why when keeping it real goes wrong, when we don't follow this simple understanding, fear Yahweh and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man, not following the street code, okay? Not following the jail code, not following the gang culture code. You know what I'm saying? Not following, you got to follow, you got to fear God and keep his commandments. Verse 14.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Time. So we see what happened with Big U, he was out here doing things allegedly, and he got caught. And some of us, I ain't gonna keep, harping on him, but some of us are doing things, you sleeping with your buddy's uh wife or girlfriend or whatever, or you're stealing from your family members. Um, you're lying about you being a single man, and you got a wife over here, or you're lying about being a wife, you got a husband over here. You know what I'm saying? The Most High sees it all. I don't know why you think you're gonna get away with it. It's never gonna happen. So keeping it, I keeps it real. I keep it a buck. I tell everybody I'm married. And if they want to play around, they play around. Nah, man, that stuff is. Listen, people are dying out here every day by messing with somebody's spouse, okay, or messing with somebody's girlfriend, or messing with somebody loved one. And they playing games. They know you're a player. You know what I'm saying, or vice versa. you know um stop all this thing going around polys. Like, Israel need to stop. No, you can't do a poly. Okay, stop with the madness. That's not two wives, bro. That's a threesome. That's what that is. That mean everybody get down. All right, I had to bring that out. This, like, been hearing about this for the past few years, and it's getting big now. Like, I had people call me, hey man, you think is it okay if I'm in a poly? I'm like, a poly? You mean it's basically a thirsty dude. He got his girlfriend, and he's like, man, your sister look good, or your cousin look good. Hey man, you think we can do a poly? She can move in here. No, it's not gonna work, guys. Women cannot be with women, okay? And you just can't have an extra because you want something. All right. So please, if Israel out here, people that's doing it, it doesn't work. It causes a lot of toxicity. All right. They'd even have it on it. There was a show called SWAT, and one of the ladies was she was a SWAT member, and they was doing a poly. And she liked the girl more than she did the dude. It's unrighteousness, guys. You can't be doing this stuff. So don't be falling for, oh man, I got two wives. No, you don't. You got a wife and a side chick who's go both ways. Okay. So, that needs to be, if you're doing it, repent, get rid of her, and just stay with your wife. All right. If women doing it, I saw that TV show, Women with Two Wives. I mean, two husbands. I hope that was fake, but it looked real because they look like some simps. But listen, we can't be in this tomfoolery. You can't halfway be an Israelite. It ain't gonna work. Trust and believe me. You can't be, you got to be in this 100. We all mess up. That's why we got the Day of Atonement. You know what I'm saying? But willfully sinning, come on now. Like I say, this is the Passover season, you know, um, and we need to stay focused, Israel. So, if you're into this world, like we have some scriptures, it's nothing but darkness out there. Okay. So again, keeping it real. But then there's another side when keeping it real goes wrong. Okay. You find yourself in prison. You find yourself falling out the truth. Next thing you know, you're a Christian eating a bacon bit sandwich, or some eggs and Scrabble. You know what I'm saying? So again, let's get right. Each one teach one. We stay in this book. It's law, statutes, and commandments. Come on. Is Captain Aria on the line? Give me a second. Let me get on the phone. Salakia. I gotta get my other phone. Oh, I got it right here. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. Everybody hear me? All right, we're about to do the Lord's Prayer. So go ahead and face the east, Paleo Hebrew. All right. Abanawa, Shabashayim, Kadash, Haya, Shamka, Aya, Malakwaka, Daba, Daba Ratasa, Wankana, Haya, Ishbar Taza, Kawa, Haya, Bahashamya, Nama, Na, Lashan, Kayanwam, Wasalak Nawa, Chafmandak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Chafabak Nawa, Walabak Nawa, Manaswan, Abahashawa Nawa, Mamraka, Laka, Hamalak Wapaka, Wamalak Wapaka, Lawahimyam, Man. Yeah, I was kind of nervous. I know I butchered that. I did better when I was practicing on my own. I'm in front of everybody, I'm getting all nervous. So let's go with the Lord's Prayer, Book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 9. Salaki. I'm in the wrong book. Sometimes these Roman numerals throw me off. All right, here's the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Con. So hopefully this was edifying. The class was on when keeping it real goes wrong. And it was basically just identifying how we steadily want to be like following what the streets are. And whatever the new saying is, like I said, I believe it's my truth. That's like the newest thing out here. So it's just like keeping it real. and then in 5 years it'll be something else, my life or whatever, you know. So again, we can't keep following the hold on. Sorry about that. Shalakia to the clubhouse. My bad. All right. So we can't just keep following, man's ways, okay? It's not working. I mean, it's just not working. Keeping it real is not working. Let's keep it a buck. It's not working. So eventually, the Most High is slow to anger, and He's going to come for you. You're going to get that judgment. All right. So keeping it real is following these laws, statutes, and commandments of the Holy Bible. Okay. And again, find you a friendly, find your neighborhood friendly Hebrew Israelite, and we'll get you squared away. Give you some history, give you some scriptures, give you some understanding, give you some of this good news, some of this spiritualness. Okay. So again, we got to stop following what the streets are doing, because that is not working. All right. So I say Shalom and Death to America. Shalom.
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 Great lesson. All right, great lesson.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Want to keep it short and simple. I'm kind of not feeling good, so I gotta get some rest. All right, everybody.